Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the NBA slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Sunday, November the 10th. So I am going to be getting up an NBA video for Sunday today. I do plan on playing this slate after I get my NFL lineups in and after I'm done watching the NFL games. On DraftKings, the slate starts at 6 o'clock and includes two of the 6 o'clock games. On Yahoo, it starts at 7. So kind of adjust for whatever site you play on. If you play on both, make sure you're keeping up with the lock times. I'll talk about plays that I like specifically for DraftKings and for Yahoo. There will be some plays that I like in the 6 o'clock games on DraftKings that won't be included in Yahoo, and then, kind of vice versa. So there will be guys that I'll target in this game that I can't go to on Yahoo, which kind of sucks. But either way, we'll just kind of run through this slate quickly, go through each position. I'll hit on some plays I like, and then as we go, I will bid out a core of 5 players. These are 5 players that I do see the night before that I will be targeting in my lineups come Sunday. Just before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. As always, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. Would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel if you have not already. You can follow me on Twitter as well at DFS by Noah. And if you are planning to play NFL today, I do have my NFL final look video already up on my channel. It went up on Friday afternoon, so if you missed my final look video, I would definitely appreciate it if you would check that video out. But let's go ahead and talk about today's slate. We'll start off at point guard and then work our way through. Just before we start off with point guard, I do want to touch on a couple of key injuries we're going to need to watch as the slate goes on Sunday and as the day goes on. So Whiteside is questionable. That's a pretty big one for Portland. I believe Scal is questionable as well. So Portland would definitely be really thin in their front court if Whiteside is out today. Ben Simmons is going to remain out. Kyle Lowry is out, which is a very big injury. We're going to talk about a lot of Raptors on Yahoo because a lot of them did not get priced up. They're still way too cheap. Some of them on DraftKings are still too cheap as well. Then you got Jeremy Lamb and Miles Turner, who are both going to be out for the Pacers today. Serge Ibaka also going to be out for the Raptors. We know the Raptors are already a team that runs a tight rotation. They give their starters very heavy minutes. So no Ibaka, no Lowry. There's going to be a lot of guys off the bench that pick up a lot of minutes. I imagine guys like Norman Powell are going to see plenty of run. I think Chris Boucher, coming off the bench, a very productive player, is definitely a guy we can target today. He's really cheap on DraftKings. So definitely going to be looking to a lot of Raptors. Elfrid Payton is questionable. DeAndre Jordan listed as questionable, but he's actually probable for today against Brooklyn. We all played Jared Allen the last slate with DeAndre Jordan out. It's probably going to be a different story today with Jordan expected to play. Zach Collins, we know, is going to remain out. Rondo is not expected to play today. Kevin Huerter, I believe he's questionable, or maybe he's probable. Or no, he's probable for Sunday, so Huerter's expected to play. Goga is going to remain out. Mitchell Robinson's going to remain out. And I think that's pretty much all the injuries that we really need to watch. Really, the big one we need to watch heading into Sunday is Hassan Whiteside. If he is out, then that's going to open up Scal as a value play if Scal can play. I'm pretty sure Scal's really cheap on DraftKings. I know he's really cheap on Yahoo. If I can type his name in correctly. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Scal's 3,100. I mean, Scal would probably be the best value play on the slate if Whiteside's out, if he's able to play. But let's go and take a look at point guard today. Want to run through this real quickly. My videos I've noticed are kind of been around 20-25 minutes. I do want to shorten those up a little bit, so I'm going to go a little bit quicker today. Just looking at the point guard position in general, I think this Kyle Lowry injury is going to open up one of the more better options on DraftKings at least in this mid-range, Fred VanVleet. VanVleet is 6,900. The Lowry injury is definitely going to benefit him. He did get priced up, though, quite a bit. I still think he is a very strong play, though, in that mid-range. He's definitely my preferred option there. I'm not going to include him in the core 5 plays because I think there's better options for cheaper. But I definitely want to talk about VanVleet on Yahoo. I do like him a lot over here. They did not price him up. He's at shooting guard. He's still really underpriced at $23. He should be upwards of $30, $32 with Kyle Lowry out for this game. With Lowry out, we can pull up Toronto's usage just so far this season. VanVleet, 298 minutes played, 19.1% usage rate, 0.91 fantasy points per minute. Now let's run the numbers with Kyle Lowry off the floor. You're going to see a significant difference with Lowry off. VanVleet is one of the biggest beneficiaries. His usage rate jumps up to 24.2%, and fantasy points per minute jump up to 1.19. So just looking at the differential in that, plus 5% bump in usage rate, averages 0.28 more fantasy points per minute. So really big bump for Fred VanVleet with Kyle Lowry out. Obviously, we all know that. Van Vliet's going to be a top play for me on Yahoo at $23 at the shooting guard position. I think he's very strong on DraftKings as well if you want to get to him at $6,900. But with the price being up, I don't think he's a must play, whereas on Yahoo, if I was playing like 4 or 5 lineups, I'd probably play him in every lineup on Yahoo because I just think he's that good of a play. Obviously, at the top, you got guys like LeBron, Damian Lillard, but I don't think these guys are going to be the studs I look to on the slate. We're going to talk about Giannis later in the video. Anthony Davis feels too cheap at $9,900. I love Joel Embiid today at $9,100. So I don't see myself paying up at point guard if I'm making one lineup today. I don't think that's going to be where I look to go. Guys like Devin Booker, Malcolm Brogdon in this mid-range. Brogdon, after coming off a disappointing game, got priced down to $7,800 on DraftKings. I think with the price decrease, Brogdon is a great play here. He just had an off night that night against Detroit. Only shot 36% from the field. Only took 11 shots, which is kind of surprising. The assists and rebounds weren't really there. Usually, Brogdon's a guy that can get double-digit assists most nights. Only 11 points in that game. I do expect a bounce-back game from Brogdon. It's not the best matchup, but, I mean, Brogdon's going to be a stud player rest of season. He should not be under 8K at any point this season, at least till Oladipo comes back. So I do really like Malcolm Brogdon at $7,800. But I want to talk about some of these other plays we have. So Eric Bledsoe been playing very well lately. His price on DraftKings honestly still feels a bit too cheap at $6,200. Just his last 5 games, he's got at least 33 DraftKings points in 5 straight games. He's also very underpriced on Yahoo. He's another guy that's just way too cheap over here, kind of similar to Fred VanVleet. We look at point guard. Bledsoe is $21. He's for sure going to be a core play for me over on Yahoo. It's pretty much been him and Giannis doing all the heavy lifting for the Bucks so far this season. This is a great spot for the Bucks as well. OKC defensively this season against point guards is definitely a team you can attack. SGA is not the best defender. Chris Paul is solid defensively at this point in his career, but still, I do like this spot for Bledsoe. A game in OKC, it should be close. I believe this game does have one of the higher totals on the slate. Right now, 222 total, 7-point spread, so honestly, it should be a close game with just a 7-point spread. With Bledsoe being just $21 on Yahoo, I mean, he's just way too cheap. He should be close to $30, very similar to VanVleet. Both Bledsoe and VanVleet feel severely underpriced on Yahoo. On DraftKings, you can definitely get to Bledsoe as well at $6,200. I do like him in that mid-range. But I want to talk about Dennis Schroeder. I think Dennis Schroeder is one of the more underpriced players given DraftKings pricing, just $5,300 over here. You could definitely target him on Yahoo as well. I believe he's $19. The shooting guard position, yeah, he's 19. It's hard for me to play him over someone like VanVleet. I mean, VanVleet's just a much better option, but if you're playing multiple shooting guards, if you're going with VanVleet and then you want to play Schroeder at the guard spot, could see doing that, but I really like him on DK at $5,300. Schroeder has been playing very well off the bench just as of late. He seems pretty locked into about 28 to 32 minutes every night, somewhere in that range. Just the last 4 games, he's gone for at least 26 DraftKings points in 3 of his last 4 games. He can be a very high upside play coming off the bench. We've seen games this season where Schroeder goes for 40 DraftKings points. This is a pace-up spot for the Thunder. The Thunder are towards the bottom of the league in pace so far this season. They're 19th. If we look at the Bucks are 3rd in pace, one of the more faster-paced teams. So definitely a good spot for Dennis Schroeder. With his price down to $5,300 on DraftKings, I think he's probably one of the better point guard value plays on today's slate because guys like Raul Neto got priced up. Neto was $3,400 last slate with Simmons out. Now he's $4,500. Put up 27 DK points in that game. I don't think Neto's a bad play, but obviously he's not the lock that he was on the last slate at $3,400. So that's just kind of where I'm looking to at point guard. Summing it up real quickly, the main guys I really see are Brogdon, obviously Schroeder. I really like VanVleet. If you want to go to Devontae Graham, I think he's fine as well. But mostly like Brogdon, Schroeder, and VanVleet. Those are kind of the 3 guys I really like at the point guard position. But moving on to shooting guard, talking about some plays here that we haven't mentioned. At the top, you got guys like Devin Booker, who I didn't really touch on at shooting guard or at point guard. I think I'd much rather play Malcolm Brogdon over Devin Booker today. SGA at $7K, I don't mind against the Bucks, but honestly, I think I'd rather just play Fred VanVleet for $100 less. I think VanVleet is just a better option overall, and he's my preferred option between SGA, VanVleet, Graham. I think I'd rather go to VanVleet there. Looking for value here, Evan Fournier was someone that was pretty popular last slate, especially for cash games. He was like 40% owned in double-ups. He had a big game against Memphis in a pace-up spot, 39 DraftKings points in 27 minutes. Eventually, Fournier was going to start making some shots, and he was going to put up a big game, and it finally did happen Now he's up to 5,500. It's not a great matchup either against the Pacers, so I don't think I'm going to be going to much Evan Fournier. Josh Richardson feels way too cheap for a matchup with the Hornets, especially with Ben Simmons out, but in that last game with Ben Simmons out, you didn't get much from Josh Richardson, just 20 DraftKings points in 32 minutes. He was 5,700 on that slate. His price is down to 5,500. He's probably my favorite shooting guard play. I think Richardson gives you way more upside than he's shown lately, especially with Simmons out. We're going to see Richardson handle the ball a lot more. So I definitely like him at shooting guard. Him and Schroeder in the same price range, and those are probably my two favorite plays at the position, just like in that mid-tier. There's really no value I see that stands out besides the guy we're about to talk about, who we could talk about at small forward, but might as well go ahead and touch on him now. So Norman Powell is 4K on DraftKings, and he is expected to start in place of Kyle Lowry. They're going to move Van Vliet to point guard, and then they're going to start Norman Powell at the 2. Last game, he did play 29 minutes. I'm not sure when Van Vliet got hurt in that game, but obviously he got hurt in the early parts of the game because I didn't mean to say Van Vliet, I meant to say Lowry. I'm not sure when Lowry got hurt in that game, but 29 minutes from Powell in that game against the Pelicans, 25 DraftKings points. With him expected to start, you have to project him for close to 30 minutes, especially with how the Raptors, how heavy the Raptors starters are playing their minutes this season. Powell probably projects for like 32, 34 minutes. At 4K, he's really hard to avoid on the slate. He's also minimum salary on Yahoo, so he's a tough play to avoid over there as well. It's going to be hard to get away from him at that cheap price. The Raptors seem pretty set on playing their starters 34, 36 minutes every night. So far this season, I'm pretty sure Siakam, Van Vliet, and Lowry are all towards the top of the league in minutes played this season. So I expect big minutes for Norman Powell. He should have plenty of opportunity as well. And at only 4K, I think he is probably one of the better value plays on this slate. But that's probably it for shooting guard, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to small forward now. So definitely want to touch on Giannis on this slate. Giannis, 11,200 in a matchup with the Thunder. Just looking at some of the other studs we have on this slate, talking about DraftKings pricing, we got LeBron at 10.3, Lillard 10.1, AD 9,900, Irving 9,700, Siakam 94, Trae Young 92, Embiid 91, and that's just kind of it for all the 9K and above plays. Giannis is, I think, one of the top options on this slate. It's just so hard for him to fail right now with how he's playing for this Bucks team. He just gives you such a high floor and high ceiling every night. His worst game this season was against Cleveland, only 41 DraftKings points, played 29 minutes. I mean, you're not going to get a game like that from Giannis most nights. Most nights he's giving you at least 50 DraftKings points. If the game's competitive, we know he's going to play upwards of 36 minutes. We've seen it just in in 3 of his last 4 games, 36 minutes. All 3 of his last 4 games, all 3 of those games were competitive as well. With this game just having a 7-point spread, it is expected to stay pretty close. There is pretty good value on this slate that I like. There's pretty good plays like 6K and below that should allow you to fit in Giannis. So he's my top stud on the slate. I like him a lot on Yahoo as well. $55. Just comparing his price to some of the other guys. AD's only $3 less. LeBron $5 less. I mean, Giannis should be over $60 on Yahoo. So especially with how Yahoo does their pricing, with how guys are so underpriced over there, I'll just keep playing Giannis. Just take that high floor, high ceiling every night. So I do prefer him over LeBron today. I think you just get a much higher floor and ceiling from Giannis. Even though he's $900 less, I do prefer to go to him. But some of the other small forward plays we can maybe talk about. Tobias Harris, especially with Ben Simmons out, should definitely benefit. And with him being 7K in a matchup against the Hornets, I think he is firmly in play here. OG should definitely benefit with Kyle Lowry out. I don't know if I want to pay $6,200 for him, but he's another guy similar to all the other Raptor starters, playing heavy minutes every night. You just look at the minutes, 36, 38, 38, 37, 37. The minutes are going to be there for OG. He's been a much more productive player this season, just been a totally different player than what he was last season. With Kawhi gone, that's opened up a lot of usage for guys like OG. So OG is someone you could look to at $6,200. I really like Kelly Oubre at $5,900. His price really stands out to me at home against Brooklyn. This game does have one of the higher totals on the slate. Right now, a 233 total, just a 2-point spread. This is for sure going to be a game to target. Should be fast-paced. Should be competitive as well. Should be high-scoring. If we look at pace so far this season, Brooklyn is 5th in pace. The Suns are 12th. So these are 2 relatively fast-paced teams. I really like Oubre with just a $5,900 price tag. I mean, the guy should be 6K or more every night. So anytime he's under 6K, especially in a game that's going to be played fast. I really like Kelly Oubre at the small forward position. Then you got like Josh Richardson, who I think is a pretty strong play at 5,500 today. Looking for value here. Hezonja got the start last game over Anthony Tolliver. He wasn't that great, only 20 minutes played, 20 DraftKings points. I think last time Hassan Whiteside is out, we saw Mario Hezonja draw the start, and they played Anthony Tolliver at center. I doubt that they would do that here against Atlanta. They probably would start Skal if Skal is healthy, or they just bring someone off the bench. But if Hezonja stays in the starting lineup, he could for sure be a value play at 4,100 if you're really trying to go cheap at the small forward position. And then obviously you have Norman Powell, who you could play here as well. He's small forward eligible. I believe Rodney Hood's questionable today. Let me just confirm that real quick. I think he is questionable, and he could definitely, he's questionable. If he was out, or if he is out, then Kent Bazemore, especially in a hashtag revenge game against the Hawks. Kent Bazemore, only 3,600, could potentially draw the start here. Never going to be that productive of a player, especially playing alongside Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, but he's only 3,600. There's plenty of studs to pay up for, so we're going to be looking for value. Definitely keep an eye on that Hood news because that would open up Kent Bazemore maybe. Let's go ahead and talk about some power forwards real quick. Then we'll quickly go over center before we end the video. So AD stands out to me at the top at 9,900. I think I do prefer him over Pascal Siakam here. Only a $500 difference. I don't think that's enough salary for me to want to drop down to Siakam. AD should not be under 10K. I mean, the dude's been solid this season. You're getting pretty much a 45, 50-point floor from him. It's going to be hard for me to prioritize him over someone like Joel Embiid for $800 less. I mean, Joel Embiid I absolutely love today, and we'll talk more about when we get to center. But AD at 9,900 is for sure a strong stud option. I don't think he's going to be one of my priorities, but if I can fit like him, Giannis, and Embiid today, I might try and do that, especially with AD having power forward eligibility. That's going to be pretty crucial on this slate because there are a lot of center plays that I really like today. But just some other power forwards that I want to touch on. Really not much in this mid-range. I mean, Sabonis obviously is a strong play with Miles Turner out. I don't love the matchup, though, against Orlando, but 8,300 for Sabonis honestly feels a little bit too cheap. Tobias at 7K I did touch on is a guy you could go to. Al Horford for 6,200 maybe you could look to. Honestly, I'd probably just try and like save and go with like Kelly Oubre, but if you want to play Horford, he should definitely see a few more assists with Ben Simmons off the floor. One of the cheap plays I really want to talk about is, or with this Serge Ibaka news, there is a cheap play I want to talk about. I normally don't give like quote-unquote sleeper plays, like low-owned guys, but there is a low-owned player I want to talk about today. So Chris Boucher is only 3,200 on DraftKings. I don't expect him to start or anything. He's going to continue to play off the bench, but with Serge Ibaka out, we're probably going to see Chris Boucher just play backup center, and anytime Marc Gasol is off the floor, we're going to see Boucher be on the floor. This is a Lakers team that does play big, so honestly, it wouldn't be surprising if Boucher and Gasol play alongside each other. I doubt they would do that because they already have Siakam, but we've seen so far this season the Lakers will start McGee, Dwight, and LeBron. I mean, those are three really big dudes. I don't know who's going to guard LeBron in this game. It's probably going to be Pascal, and they're going to have AD on Gasol, but I guess we'll see. But Boucher is one of those guys that's so productive when he's on the floor. Can give you a point per minute easily. We saw in his last game against the Pelicans, 14 minutes played, 20 DraftKings points in only 14 minutes. He's a very productive player. I don't think he's probably going to see like 24, 26 minutes, but if you get 20 minutes from Boucher, if he plays backup center, let's say Gasol plays 28, 30 minutes, and you get 18 to 20 minutes from Boucher, he can easily give you 20-plus DraftKings points, and if there's definitely a possibility for even more minutes for Boucher if you get some foul trouble or something from Marc Gasol. So 3,200, I really like Boucher as like a low-owned sleeper. I'm not going to include him in the core because I usually try and give like optimal, some of my like optimal core plays in there, but as a low-owned tournament option, definitely keep your eye on Chris Boucher. Obviously, if Hassan Whiteside is out, then, I mean, Skal Labissière would be a much safer and better option and would project way better. But obviously, Skal would be incredibly high-owned, and Boucher, nobody's probably going to play. So I did want to touch on him at the power forward position as a low-owned value. But I think that's it for power forward, guys, for the plays I see here. So let's go ahead and touch on some center options before we end the video. So at the top of the center position, we've got guys I've already talked about. I do want to touch on Joel Embiid today. I love Joel Embiid here at 9,100 against the Hornets. This Hornets team has been getting absolutely killed by bigs this season. Embiid just feels severely underpriced on DraftKings. With Ben Simmons out, he does see a boost. I'll pull up the Sixers usage real quick. I did show it in my last video that the Sixers were on the slate, but I'll pull it up again real quick. So let's run the numbers with Ben Simmons off. I'm pretty sure like all the starters see a small boost, but just looking at in a it's not a very small, or it's not a big sample size, but 83 minutes so far this season with Ben Simmons off the floor, 37.7% usage rate, 1.73 fantasy points per minute for Joel Embiid. Just looking at the differential in that, obviously it's a small sample size, but that's a plus 2.2% bump in usage. Al Horford sees a plus 2.3% bump. Kyle Quinn, that doesn't really matter, but Tobias Harris, 2.5% bump. So Harris, Embiid, Horford, probably Josh Richardson as well are going to be like the biggest beneficiaries with Embiid off the floor. Obviously, Raul Neto is going to pick up more minutes, but with him being priced up, I don't think he's really necessary. He is very cheap on Yahoo. I will touch on that real quick. I forgot to mention him. Never mind. That game is not on the slate. I am dumb. Forget what I said. Sorry about that. Let's go back to DraftKings. Okay, so Joel Embiid, 9,100 against the Hornets here. Great spot. This Hornets team's been getting killed by bigs this season. Whether they put Cody Zeller, Bismack Biyombo, Willie Hernan-Gomez, Marvin Williams, none of those guys stand a chance against Embiid. He should absolutely feast. He should not be this cheap. Love Joel Embiid, one of my favorite plays on DraftKings today. But just some other center plays we got in this mid-range, some guys that stand out to me. Tristan Thompson's been crushing this season. He's up to 7,600 on DraftKings, which honestly doesn't feel like much of an overprice. I mean, the guy should be that price. But when you have like Sabonis for 600 more, I think I'd rather, or 700 more, I think I would probably rather get to Sabonis in that price range. Aaron Baines is someone I like a lot today. 6K on DraftKings. It's a bit tough to get to him at that price, but if we do go over to Yahoo, I think he's going to be a core play for me over on Yahoo. He still remains way underpriced over here. Only $17, way too cheap for a matchup at home against the Nets. This Nets team is still getting killed by bigs this season. I loved Hassan Whiteside on Friday night. He had a really good game. I love Aaron Baines on Yahoo at just $17. For him to pay off this price tag, you really only need him to get about 30 fantasy points, and that's pretty much what he's been averaging this season when he started. You can easily project him to play 28 to 30 minutes. We know Brooklyn likes to play Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan, two very big players. So that should easily mean that Baines is going to get 28, 30 minutes because he's going to have to defend those guys. So love Baines on Yahoo. On DraftKings, like I said, it's a bit tougher to get him in there. It's 7K, but if you can fit in Baines between all those like 6K and 5K-ish centers, he's probably my preferred option there at 6K. But I do want to talk about a cheap value play. I know I was hating on Cody Zeller, but I could definitely see Cody Zeller playing 30-plus minutes here against the Sixers. Since the Sixers do have Joel Embiid, that means Cody Zeller is going to have to be out on the floor. They can't go small here. The Hornets won't be able to go small and play like Marvin Williams at center or P.J. Washington at center. They're going to have to give Cody Zeller minutes. He did see 28 minutes last game against the Pelicans, which is a plus. He did play 28 minutes on Saturday night, 24 DraftKings points. If Zeller gets 30 minutes, he can easily give you a double-double. His price tag has severely dropped on DraftKings since he's been underperforming lately. We saw how productive he was to begin the season when he was getting the minutes. I think the minutes are going to be there in this matchup. I think he's going to have to play big minutes. As long as he can stay out of foul trouble, we could easily get a double-double from Cody Zeller, and 25, 30 DraftKings points is easily in play. So I really like him as a value at the center position. And one of the reasons I talked about why I really liked AD is because you can play AD at power forward, which is pretty big since I love Embiid, and then I do like Zeller as a value. But I think that's probably it for center, guys. Just for center value plays, I don't think there's really any cheap plays below 5K that I like besides the guys I've already talked about, like Boucher and Scal. Could both be options down here at 32, 3100. But I think that's it for the video, guys. These are my 5 plays today for DraftKings and 5 for Yahoo. These are just 5 players I see the night before that really catch my eye. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you have not yet, make sure you click that subscribe button down below. Be sure to click the notification bell as well, so that way you get notified every time I upload. If you have questions, you can leave questions, comments, any of that stuff down below in the comment section. Feedback as well is always greatly appreciated. Be sure to follow me on Twitter as well. If you're playing NFL today, check out my NFL Final Look video that I uploaded on Friday. It's already up on the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. But I think with all that said, guys, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and good luck tonight. Peace.